Nia was 27 and worked the late shift at a small bakery on the corner of Maple and 6th. She liked the quiet hours after midnight, when the ovens hummed like friendly machines and the city slowed down. The bakery smelled of warm bread and cinnamon, and she took pride in shaping loaves that looked like braided rivers. At closing time she would wipe the counters until they shone, stack the trays, check the freezer door twice, and lock up with a soft click that told her the day was done. She lived 3 blocks away in a rented studio with a tiny balcony where a potted mint plant tried its best to be a garden. Her life was simple and steady: work, home, calls with her mother on Sundays, and a book by the bed that she read a few pages of every night. People on her street knew her in small, kind ways. Mr. and Mrs. Shaw from the corner store waved when she passed. A bus driver sometimes stopped an extra moment if he saw her running. Kids from the school nearby loved the day-old donuts she handed out when she had extras. Nia liked to notice details: the street light that buzzed, the chalk drawings that changed each week on the sidewalk, the way the sky looked silver right before dawn. These details made her feel rooted, like she was part of something larger and gentle. Her values were simple. She believed in showing up, doing her work well, and treating people with respect. She did not like big speeches. She preferred actions that were calm and consistent: bringing an extra cup of tea for a coworker who forgot lunch, returning a lost glove, writing a thank you note to the mechanic who fixed her bike. When she made mistakes, she tried to fix them. When she felt tired, she rested. Her brother joked that she was quiet stubborn, which was his way of saying she kept going even when it was hard. That August evening started like many others. The weather was warm, and the air held the faint scent of rain. Nia tied on her apron, checked the timer, and began the night's rhythm: measure, mix, knead, rise, bake. The radio played soft old songs. Her co-worker, Mina, told a funny story about her cat chasing a shoelace for a full 10 minutes. They laughed until Mina pretended to be the cat, and the timer scolded them back to work. By 2 in the morning, racks of golden loaves stood in lines like well-behaved children. Nia wrote labels in neat block letters and slid them into the display case. It was satisfying, like completing a small puzzle where every piece fit. Just before 3, a light sprinkle began outside. The streets glowed, reflecting neon from the diner across the road. Nia texted her brother up late, and he replied with a photo of a textbook and a sleepy emoji. She locked the front door, checked it once more out of habit, and tucked the keys into her pocket. Her backpack felt light on her shoulders: a water bottle, a sweater, a paperback, and a small box of cinnamon rolls she planned to leave for the building superintendent, who always fixed things quickly. She pulled up her hood against the mist and started home. The first block was quiet. A stray cat peeked out from under a car, somewhere a train clanged. When she turned onto Walnut Street, she heard voices ahead. It was a sharp kind of talk, the kind that tries to cut the air. Nia slowed, hoping the speakers would move on. She saw 3 men under a streetlight. Their jackets had the same symbol on the back, a shape she had noticed on a few flyers that sometimes appeared on poles and then were torn down by morning. She felt her gut tighten, a small knot. She considered crossing the street, but a parked truck and a row of recycling bins made the path narrow. Her heart stepped faster, beat after beat, like a drummer trying to stay steady. Nia kept her eyes forward and walked with a calm pace. She did not want to engage. She did not want trouble. The men noticed her. One said something she could not fully hear, another laughed, a short sound. Her breath found a rhythm: in for 4, out for 4. She had learned that from a podcast about staying steady in stressful moments. She kept going. Then she heard a shoe scrape, and 2 of the men shifted toward her. The moment felt thin. She thought of her mother's advice, old and simple: if you feel unsafe, go where the light is, go where people are, and call for help. Across the street, a house had a bright porch light, the kind that looks like a lighthouse on a small, dark shore. Nia moved toward that light, phone in hand. She tapped open her emergency screen and pressed call. A neighbor, woken by the voices, opened their door a crack. The men, startled by the lit doorway and the sound of Nia speaking clearly into the phone, stepped back. She could feel a tremble in her hands, but her voice was even as she gave the location. The men moved away quickly, as if they had not meant to linger at all. The neighbor, seeing the scene, asked, "Are you all right?" Nia said she would like to stand by the porch for a moment, just to settle. The neighbor nodded and kept the door open so the hallway light spilled onto the steps. Nia stayed under the porch light and took a slow breath that actually reached her belly. The rain had become a soft mist, almost kind. In the distance, she heard the faint hoop of a siren. She thanked the neighbor for their kindness and told them she would file a report. The neighbor pointed to a doorbell camera and said it might have caught something useful. They exchanged names. Small things names, thanks. The shared light built a bridge back to normal. At the ER, a nurse checked her quickly. No serious injuries, just a light bruise on her elbow from when she had brushed against a dumpster trying to stay in the open. The nurse spoke in a matter-of-fact tone that Nia liked. "You did the right things," she said. "You got to the light. You called early. You asked for help." Nia nodded. She knew some people would have chosen to go straight home and try to forget the whole thing, but a quiet stubbornness rose in her. Naming what happened mattered. Making a record mattered. If she wanted her street to stay safe for the kids who drew on the sidewalk and for the baker who walked home at 3, she had to take the next step. At the police station, the desk officer looked tired but attentive. Nia explained the time, the location, the jackets, the symbol. She kept her words simple and factual, like noting ingredients on a recipe card. The officer typed while she spoke, asked for the neighbor's address, and gave her a case number written on a small card. "If you remember any detail later, call this number," he said. "If your neighbor's camera has footage, we'll add it to the file." Nia tucked the card into her wallet behind a photo of her and her brother at a summer fair. She felt a steady line inside her, the kind that forms when you choose to stand in truth. Outside, the sky held the first hint of dawn. She walked the last block home with careful steps, listening for ordinary sounds: the hum of a refrigerator through a window, the rustle of a tree, a bus far away. When she reached her building, she placed the box of cinnamon rolls on the superintendent's shelf with a small note, "Thank you for always fixing things." It was her way of balancing the night with something kind. In her apartment, she set her wet hoodie on a chair and stood by the window. The city's roofs looked like folded paper boats. She made tea and wrapped both hands around the cup, letting the warmth travel into her chest. Nia opened her notebook, the one where she wrote small daily lines and dated the page. She wrote what happened in clean, simple sentences. She listed what went well and what she wanted to do next. Call neighbor about video. Text Mina I'm okay. Tell building group to check lights on Walnut. She was not trying to be a hero, she was building a path. Paths are made of steps, not leaps. She believed in that. She had always believed in that. Her phone buzzed. It was her brother, who had woken up early to study. "Are you home safe?" She sent a photo of her tea and wrote, "Safe. Filed report. Will rest now. Proud of you." He sent back a sticker of a tiny cartoon shield. It made her laugh, a small, bright sound that cleaned the air in the room. When the sun finally rose, it spread a soft gold over the buildings. Nia pulled the curtain aside and watched a cyclist glide down the street. She thought about the kids with chalk, the neighbors, the warm loaves lined up at dawn, and the steady kindness that stitched people together, a porch light switching on, a door opening, a nurse speaking calmly, an officer taking notes. The night had tried to shake her, but it had not taken her center. She felt that center like a candle flame that stays upright even when the window is open a little. Before she lay down to rest, she set a few gentle plans in place. She saved the case number in her phone under important. She drafted a short message to her building's group chat asking if the Walnut Street light could be checked, not in a blaming way, but in a let's keep each other safe way. She placed her keys on the hook by the door and lined up her shoes under the bench. These small actions settled her. They told her that life would keep moving in its ordinary, good ways, and that she could help it do so. Nia then closed her eyes and pictured the bakery's ovens warming again that evening, the dough rising as it always did, patient and sure. She pictured the neighbor's porch light glowing like a promise. She pictured herself walking home again under a brighter street, maybe with a friend beside her, maybe with two. The city was not perfect, but it was home. And home, she believed, is made safer when people choose care, attention, and steady steps. That was the kind of story she wanted her life to tell, starting from this night and moving forward one careful, brave step at a time. Morning light slipped through the thin curtains and drew a pale line across Nia's floor. She woke slowly, felt the shape of her breath, and listened for ordinary sounds: the bakery truck, a bicycle bell, a neighbor's kettle. The night before still sat in her memory, but it no longer shook her center. She stretched, washed her face with cool water, and made tea. Before opening any apps, she opened her notebook. She liked to start with paper. She read the 3 lines she had written after the incident: call neighbor about video, text Mina, ask building group about Walnut Street light, and put a small square box next to each task. She liked the quiet ceremony of checking boxes. Her first text went to Mina: I'm okay. Filed report. Can you cover first hour if I'm late? Mina replied with a row of heart emojis and, yes, chef. The little humor helped. Nia then typed in the building's group chat. She kept her message calm and concrete: street light near Walnut and 5th flickers and goes dark. It would help safety to submit a maintenance request. I can call the city and give details. Anyone else notice this? Within minutes, 2 neighbors replied that they had also seen it. One posted the city's hotline number. Another said, thank you for speaking up. Before she could place the call, her phone buzzed with a link a friend had sent. It was a local rumor page that often shared everything from lost pets to loud parties. The page had a short post about late-night trouble on Walnut Street. The comments were messy. Some supported Nia, though they did not know her name. Others doubted anything happened at all. Nia felt her chest tighten. She wanted to jump into the thread and explain, but she paused. Her therapist, whom she could visit only now and then, had once said, pick the rooms where your voice will be used well. Nia closed the page and opened her notes instead. She wrote, focus on people who help. She called the city hotline and described the flickering light. The operator listened, asked for the pole number, and created a ticket. You'll get an update by text, the operator said. The straightforward tone steadied Nia. Next, she went downstairs to find the superintendent. The cinnamon rolls had vanished from the shelf, replaced by a note that made her smile: best breakfast ever, thank you. When she explained the street light and the corner where she felt uneasy, the superintendent nodded. I'll file a building request for brighter bulbs on our side, too, he said. 2 fixes are better than 1. At work, the ovens were already warm. Mina gave Nia a long look, the kind where care speaks without words, and handed her a clean apron. You get the gentle tasks today, she joked. I already lifted the heavy trays. The manager, hearing a bit of the story, pulled Nia aside. I'm glad you're okay, she said, and then added, let's keep this quiet around customers. We don't want the bakery linked with any drama. The word stung. Nia swallowed it down and replied evenly, understood. I'll stay focused. But the moment showed a challenge she had not expected. people who would rather avoid attention than face a problem. She wrote one more line in her notes during break, not everyone will be helpful. Keep going anyway. During the mid-morning lull, a regular named Mr. Green came in for his rye loaf and, sensing Nia's tired eyes, asked, "Rough night?" She weighed privacy and purpose, then shared a simple version, "I had an unsafe moment on Walnut Street." Filed a report. Trying to improve the lighting and gather any evidence. Mr. Green's brows drew together. "My son installed a doorbell camera last month," he said. "We face that corner. I'll ask him to check last night's time around 3. Nia's heart settled a little. "Thank you," she said. "Even if there's nothing, your kindness helps." By noon, Mina slid a small flyer across the counter. "Found this on a pole outside," she whispered. The paper had a symbol on it the same shape Nia had noticed on the men's jackets. The message said nothing outright, just vague words about taking back the neighborhood. Nia felt the cold edge of fear try to return, but she steadied herself. She photographed the flyer, date-stamped it, and put it in a folder labeled Walnut Street Evidence. She decided not to share it on the rumor page. Instead, she sent the photo to the case number email the desk officer had given her, with a short note, "Seen near bakery at 11:23 a.m." After her shift, Nia walked to a small community center 2 blocks from her apartment. She had seen a notice on the bulletin board about a monthly neighborhood meeting. The room smelled of coffee and paper. Folding chairs formed a loose circle. A retired teacher named Ellen kept time and welcomed everyone. "We go around, share updates, and end with steps," she said. Nia looked around. She recognized 2 parents from the school, a young man with a city volunteer badge, a librarian, and a quiet woman twice her age knitting a sky blue scarf as if it held the room together. When it was Nia's turn, she spoke slowly. She described the time, the location, the light, and her report. She did not describe the men in detail, she kept to facts that could be checked. The room listened well. After she finished, people responded honestly. A parent said, "I worry for my teens walking home." Another person asked, "Could this be exaggerated by the internet?" Ellen reminded everyone to be respectful. Then a soft voice from the back said, "I have something." A woman stood up and introduced herself as Miss Karim, a civil rights lawyer who lived on the next block. "I work with a nonprofit," she said. "If you wish, I can advise on steps that keep this grounded and safe. We focus on evidence, lawful action, and care for all involved." The room exhaled. Nia felt the floor come back under her feet. After the meeting, Miss Karim and Nia found a corner table. The conversation was practical. First, Miss Karim said, "You did the right things: emergency call, ER check, report, notes. Next, we gather. That means camera footage if available, written statements from anyone who saw something, and records of related signs, like that flyer. Third, we protect your privacy and well-being. No need to share details on public pages where words can twist." She slid a small card across the table. "Here's my number. No charge. We do this work as a service." Nia touched the card like it was a safety rail. "Thank you," she said. "I don't want to cause noise. I want to make things better." A man with curly hair and a canvas tote wandered over and smiled. "I'm Luis," he said, "the city volunteer. I help organize safety walks and info sessions. We never confront anyone. We move in pairs, carry flashlights, and share routes with the neighborhood officer. If you're open, we can add Walnut Street to the Thursday route. It's the same idea your mom probably told you: go where the light is, and be the light." The sentence warmed Nia. "I'd like that," she said. "And maybe we can check which businesses have cameras facing the street." Nia returned home with a short, tidy list that felt like a map. She called the neighbor with the bright porch who had offered doorbell video. They agreed to meet the next afternoon to review the clip and, if it showed anything, to share it securely with the case officer. She texted Mr. Green to thank him for asking his son to check their camera. She sent an email to the school principal asking if the safety walks could be mentioned in the weekly newsletter, not in a fearful way, but as a chance for neighbors to look out for each other. The principal replied within an hour, "Yes. Keep me posted." That evening, a co-worker sent Nia a link to a podcast about resilience. "Might like this," the message said. Nia listened while she folded laundry. The speaker's voice was calm. "Resilience isn't about never feeling stress," the voice said. "It's about having the tools and people that bring you back to center." Nia pressed pause and looked at her small apartment, the tea mug, the mint plant reaching for a thin line of sun, the notebook on the table, and felt grateful for ordinary tools. She set a timer to remind herself to drink water. She put a granola bar in her bag. Tiny things, but they add up. The next day brought pushback in small forms. The building group chat had a few skeptical replies: "Are we sure this is our problem?" and "We don't want to attract attention." A cousin texted from another city, "Just keep your head down." Even the bakery manager repeated, "Let's not bring this up with customers." Nia understood where the worries came from. People wanted calm. But she also knew that quiet was not the same as safety. She kept her replies short and kind. "Thanks for your thoughts. I'm working with a lawyer and the city. We're focusing on useful steps." She did not try to win every argument. She invested her energy where it mattered. In the afternoon, she met the porch light neighbor, who turned out to be a middle-aged music teacher named Carla. They sat at a kitchen table that smelled faintly of lemon oil. Carla pulled up the doorbell app. Together they watched the clip. The video was grainy in the rain, but it showed three figures and, more importantly, the backs of two jackets with a stylized symbol that matched the flyer. The timestamp matched Nia's memory. They watched again, writing down details: direction of approach, the time they moved away, and a faint reflection in a nearby window that suggested another camera might exist on the opposite building. "That might be the little hardware store," Carla said. "They're closed now, but open at 7. Nia felt a quiet spark. A clue. Something real to hold. They used the app to share the clip to Nia's email and, from there, to the case officer's address with the subject line "doorbell footage Walnut and 5th timestamp." Nia added a clear, simple note: "Permission from camera owner attached. Possible additional camera across the street." Then she texted Miss Karim, who replied, "Excellent. We'll follow proper chain of custody. Keep copies and logs." The language sounded formal, but it made Nia feel protected. That evening, Louise sent a schedule for a Thursday safety walk. "We'll start at the library at 8 p.m., walk Walnut to 5th, then loop back. Flashlights and reflective vests provided. We log any broken lights and send a bundle report." Nia replied that she would join after her shift. She also saved the city text that arrived at dusk: "Street light ticket acknowledged. Crew scheduled within 72 hours. It felt good to read a number attached to a promise. Still, the online rumor page kept buzzing. Someone posted a blurry photo of the flyer and wrote, "Probably a prank." Another person wrote a long comment about overreactions. Nia reminded herself that she did not have to win the internet. She had real people, real steps, and real evidence growing piece by piece. She held on to that. She also noticed that a few new voices on the page began to ask better questions. Does the city have a hate crime liaison? Who do we call to fix lights? Small shifts matter. On her way to work the next morning, Nia passed the corner with the faulty light. A piece of bright tape now circled the pole with a small paper tag: "Repair ticket, in progress." The tag was simple, but it carried meaning. She took a photo and sent it to the building chat with a line that made room for others: Update, City marked the poll. Thank you to those who called too. A neighbor who had been quiet before replied with a thumbs up and, later, a private message, I didn't say anything, but I'm with you. Let me know if you need me to watch from my window tomorrow. At the bakery, a customer in a blue raincoat set a travel mug on the counter and said, "Are you Nia?" Nia nodded, cautious. "I'm the school counselor down the street," the woman said. "Heard about the safety walk? If you share the route, I can mention it to parents who want to join. We also offer a short session for teens about moving safely in groups. No fear, just smart habits." Nia felt the practical kindness of that offer. "Yes, please," she said. "I'll send the details." By late afternoon, Mr. Green's son emailed a short clip from their camera toward the other end of Walnut. It showed the three figures passing under a different streetlight 10 minutes earlier. The footage was clearer and caught a partial patch on a sleeve. The son added, "Happy to share this with the officer directly." Nia forwarded it with her growing log attached, dates, times, locations, witness names. She was not a detective, but she was organized. Sometimes that is exactly the help a situation needs. That night, as Nia sat on her balcony with a cup of mint tea, a light breeze touched the plant leaves and made a small, friendly sound. She thought about the challenges that had risen like waves over the last 2 days, pushback from people who feared attention, noisy comments online, a manager who preferred silence, and the effort it took to keep her own calm. Then she counted the steady things that had grown alongside the challenges: a city ticket in progress, a safety walk plan, a lawyer's card on her table, 2 camera clips shared correctly, a school counselor ready to help, and neighbors who were starting to speak up. The balance was not perfect, but it was shifting. Before going to sleep, she checked one last box in her notebook: gather evidence started. Under it she wrote a new line for tomorrow: visit hardware store about window reflection. She closed the cover and let the day go. In the soft quiet of her room, she understood something simple and strong: rising challenges do not mean stop, they mean keep moving with care. And so she would, one steady step, one kind conversation, one clear note at a time, toward a street that was better lit, a file that was better built, and a community that was, slowly and surely, more awake. The morning began with a plan. Nia folded a small paper in her pocket where she had written 3 tasks for the day: visit the hardware store about the window reflection, follow up with the case officer, and prepare a short statement for the town hall. She ate oatmeal, watered the mint plant, and practiced slow breathing for a minute. Her hands still shook now and then, like a tiny motor running under the skin, but the feeling passed faster each day. She put on her jacket, locked the door, and stepped into a city that felt a little more awake than yesterday. The hardware store smelled like wood and clean metal. Hooks, batteries, and light bulbs lined the walls in careful rows. A bell chimed when she entered. The owner, Mr. Patel, looked up from a small screen behind the counter. He had kind eyes and a pencil tucked behind one ear. "Can I help you?" he asked. Nia explained that a window on his second floor had reflected a shape on the night of her unsafe moment. "I wondered if you have a camera facing Walnut," she said. He nodded. "We do," he said. "Old system, but it works." He led her to a neat office with a humming machine and a monitor that carried a steady gray glow. They scrubbed through the time around 3 in the morning and found what they were looking for: 3 figures passing under the streetlight. The view was angled and, for a few seconds, surprisingly clear. One jacket had a small patch on the sleeve with a distinct outline that matched what Nia had seen on the flyer. A car moved past slowly, and there was a quick flash of a license plate, only half of the numbers, but it was something. Mr. Patel paused the video and leaned closer. "We can save a clip," he said. "But I prefer to hand it to an officer so it stays official." Nia agreed. She called the case number and asked for the detective on duty. An hour later, Detective Reeves arrived, wearing a plain suit and a patient face. With him was Officer Chen, the city's liaison for bias-motivated cases. They greeted Mr. Patel, reviewed the clip from start to end, and asked simple, respectful questions. "We'll take the original file and leave a receipt," Officer Chen said. "Thank you for calling us first. It helps keep a clear path for the evidence." Reeves wrote down precise notes: date, time, camera type, owner consent. Nia watched their careful process and felt relief. The work was not flashy. It was steady. She liked steady. In the hallway outside the office, Officer Chen turned to Nia. "You did the right thing following up," he said. "We also saw the doorbell video you sent with Carla's permission." He explained the next steps in simple language. The case now had a specific code for a possible hate-motivated incident. The team would compare symbols from the jackets and flyer with known markings. The partial plate, if readable, could narrow a list of vehicles. "We'll keep you updated when we can," he said, "and we'll be honest when we can't share details yet." That honesty mattered to Nia. She did not want promises that felt too smooth. She wanted truth she could stand on. After the officers left, Mr. Patel handed Nia a small bag. "On the house," he said. Inside were 2 bright flashlights with fresh batteries. "For the safety walk," he added with a shy smile. Nia thanked him and added the items to her growing list of small tools that made a big difference. Back home, she called Miss Karim from her kitchen table. The lawyer's voice was calm as always. "Good progress," she said after hearing about the clip and the officer's visit. "Let's also plan for the town hall tonight. If you share, keep it factual and short. Name what happened. Name what helped. Ask for steps, not anger." Nia nodded, pen in hand. They drafted a few lines together. "My name is Nia. I live on Walnut Street and work nights at the bakery. 2 nights ago I experienced an unsafe moment with 3 men wearing matching jackets. I called early, stood in the light, and filed a report. With neighbors' help, we shared camera clips with the police. The city marked a repair ticket for our flickering street light. I'm asking for 3 things: keep our lights working, join the safety walk in pairs, and share any useful footage with the case officer. I am not here to spread fear. I am here to support a calm, lawful answer." They practiced the words once. They fit like a simple, well-made code. The town hall met in the school gym. The air smelled faintly of floor polish and crayons. Folding chairs faced a modest stage with a microphone that squeaked once and then behaved. Ellen, the retired teacher, welcomed everyone and set clear rules: listen with respect, focus on steps, no personal attacks, no rumors. The room held parents, elders, students, a librarian, 2 small business owners, a faith leader with kind eyes, and a few city staff with clipboards. Louise stood near the back with a box of reflective vests that looked like folded sunshine. When it was Nia's turn, she walked to the microphone and rested a hand on the stand to steady herself. She spoke in the same voice she used to read a recipe, clear, precise, and calm. She said her name and her street. She described the time and the light. She named the help she had already received. She ended with her 3 requests. The room was quiet in a good way. Then a student in a blue hoodie raised a hand and asked, "What can teens do that is real?" Nia smiled. "Move in pairs," she said. "Call early, even if you feel unsure. Share small facts, not big guesses. You matter here." A local reporter stood near the side with a phone held low, waiting. After the meeting, he approached and introduced himself. "I'd like to write a short piece," he said. "Focus on the safety steps and resources, not on names or fear." Nia looked at Miss Karim, who had joined her by then. "You can quote her statement," Miss Karim said, "and mention the city resources. Please do not publish her last name. The reporter agreed. He showed them the lines he planned to use, and they read them for accuracy. It felt unusual to be asked, and it felt respectful. If a story was going to travel, let it carry light, not heat. After the meeting, people gathered by the doors, talking in small clusters with fresh energy. The school counselor handed out a one-page guide for students on staying safe in groups, practical steps like checking in with an adult, planning routes, and saving emergency numbers. The librarian offered a table the next week for a Know Your City Resources evening. Luis posted the safety walk route near the exit, library at 8, Walnut to 5th, loop around, log broken lights, share notes with the liaison. It was a map made of footsteps. At the bakery the next morning, Mina set a tray of small pastries by the staff door with a sticky note, "For safety walk volunteers." She added a second note for Nia, "Proud of you." The manager glanced at the tray and said nothing, but she did unlock the back entrance early so Nia could pick up the box after her shift. It was a small shift in tone. Nia noticed. She believed in giving people room to turn toward better. By noon, Officer Chen called with a measured update. The partial plate might match a car registered 2 neighborhoods away, the symbol on the jackets aligned with a known group that had posted stickers in the city before. "We cannot say more yet," he added, "but your clips helped narrow our search. Also, the street light crew fixed the walnut pole this morning. Let us know if it fails again." Nia thanked him and texted Carla a photo of the bright, steady lamp now glowing even in daytime as it reset itself. Carla replied with 3 bright star emojis and "porch lights at 8." That evening, the first safety walk moved like a calm ribbon through the streets. People wore vests, carried flashlights, and walked in pairs. They greeted shopkeepers, noted dark corners, and waved at kids drawing chalk stars on the sidewalk. Nia joined after closing, passing out small pastries with napkins. She kept her voice soft and steady. "Thank you for being here." The group logged 2 more flickering bulbs and sent the report to the city as a bundle. The simple act of walking together changed the feeling of the street. It felt like a shared porch. Midweek, a new challenge arrived. Someone on the rumor page posted a photo of Nia taken at the town hall. The caption asked if she was making a big deal to get attention. The comments rushed in. Some defended her. Some did not. Nia's pulse quickened, and for a few minutes she felt like a wave was pushing her backwards. She called Miss Karim, who answered on the first ring. "You are not your comments section," the lawyer said gently. "Let's set clear lines, no replying there, no late-night scrolling, and report any direct messages that feel unsafe. I'll also note this in our file." Nia deleted the app from her phone for the week and asked Mina to tell her if anything truly important happened online. Boundaries are tools, too. Her mother called that evening, voice warm with worry. "I saw a link," she said. "Are you eating?" Nia smiled into the phone. "Yes. I have soup on the stove." She explained the town hall, the camera clips, the street light repair, and the safety walk. Her mother listened to every word. "I raised a steady one," she said when Nia finished. "I am proud, and I am also your mother, so I will worry. But I can hear that you're doing this the right way." They laughed together, a sound that cleaned the day. The next morning brought a letter from the district attorney's office, a notice that a hearing might be scheduled if the investigation supported charges. It was not a promise. It was a path. The letter included a small booklet for witnesses, what to expect, how to prepare, and a number for support services. Nia read it like a recipe card again, line by line. "Arrive early," it said. "Bring ID, wear comfortable, respectful clothes. Speak in facts. If you do not know an answer, say you do not know." She could do that. She put the letter in a folder with her notes and clipped it shut with a bright blue clip that made the stack feel like something cared for. At lunch, she met briefly with a counselor at the community center who offered a few simple tools for nerves. Write 3 true, good things at the end of each day, the counselor said. Drink water. Practice a safe place picture for 10 seconds when your heart races. Nia chose the bakery at dawn as her picture: warm ovens, quiet music, braided loaves in neat lines. She tried the image on her bus ride home and felt her breath settle. Later that week, the reporter's short article went online with a clear headline about neighbors working together after a bias incident. It quoted Nia's statement and listed city resources, the liaison's number, and the safety walk schedule. It did not use her last name. The comments under that piece were calmer than the rumor page. A reader offered to donate reflective bands. Another asked how to request a light repair on their street. Information moved better than fear. That felt like a small win. The biggest change came quietly. People began to greet each other by name. The woman who walked a gray dog learned Nia's schedule and timed her route to cross paths near the library. Mr. Green asked if he could bring thermoses of tea to the next walk. Carla placed a small basket of flashlights by her door with a note: borrow and return. The city installed 2 brighter bulbs near the school crosswalk after the safety log mentioned it twice. Small dots of light connected into a line. One evening, as Nia closed the bakery, Mina handed her a folded note from the manager. It was brief: thank you for keeping this professional. Let me know if you need a shift change for any future meetings. Nia read it twice. It was not an apology, but it was a door opening a bit wider. She tucked it into her pocket and stepped into the night, which felt a shade kinder than before. On her balcony, under a sky with a pearl-colored moon, Nia wrote her 3 good things for the day. The walnut light stayed on. The safety walk added 2 new neighbors. I laughed with Mina about a crooked loaf that looked like a hat. She added one more line that marked the midpoint shift inside her: I choose to keep going, even when it is tiring. She knew the hardest part might still be ahead: a hearing, questions from lawyers, and the long pace of a formal case. But she also knew she was not alone, and she had tools, and she had proof, and she had a plan. She looked out at Walnut Street, now brighter, the corners softer, the porch lights like small anchors. Tomorrow she would wake, bake, and then meet Louise to review the next route. She would call the liaison to check the status of the new tickets. She would practice her simple statement once more, in case she needed it again. And if her hands shook, she would hold a warm mug and picture the steady ovens at dawn. The city was still the same size, but it no longer felt like a place where things just happened to her. It felt like a place where she, and many others, were shaping the next steps with care. The week of the hearing arrived with a mix of small errands and big feelings. Nia kept her routine steady on purpose. She woke early, stretched, made tea, and wrote 3 lines in her notebook each morning. The mint plant on her balcony had grown 2 new leaves, which felt like a quiet blessing. She told herself, do the next right thing. Sometimes that meant calling the liaison for an update. Sometimes it meant folding napkins at the bakery so her hands had useful work. 2 days before the hearing, a letter came confirming her time slot. It was written in clear, respectful language. It explained where to go, what to bring, and who would meet her at the door. It also said she could have a support person present. Nia chose Carla, the neighbor with the bright porch light, because that light had felt like a small lighthouse on the night everything started. She texted Carla the time and place. Carla replied, I'll be there 10 minutes early, with lemon candies. At work, Mina was extra kind without making a fuss. She set aside a small box of pastries for Nia to take to the courthouse staff. A sweet start helps, she said with a wink. The manager kept her tone professional and practical. She asked Nia which hours she needed to swap and printed a simple note for the schedule board. It wasn't a big speech, but it was support, and Nia received it with thanks. Sometimes people show care by doing the right small thing at the right time. On the rumor page, the noise continued to rise and fall like a messy tide. Nia stayed off it. Mina glanced now and then and told her only what mattered. A few more neighbors were asking for the liaison's number, the safety walk had picked up new volunteers, someone had shared a link on how to request a streetlight repair in any part of the city. Useful, not stressful, Mina promised. Boundaries held. The night before the hearing, Nia laid out her clothes on a chair, a plain blouse, dark pants, and soft shoes for standing. She placed her ID, a small packet of tissues, and a pen in a neat row. She set 2 alarms and taped a simple card over her desk with 4 lines she wanted to remember: speak in facts. Breathe slow. If you do not know, say you do not know. Look at the judge, not the comments in your head. She fell asleep picturing the bakery at dawn, warm ovens, steam rising, and loaves in quiet order. Morning arrived calm and pale. Nia met Carla outside the courthouse. Carla wore a navy sweater and held a small bag of lemon candies like a secret weapon. For dry throats, she said. They joined a short line and went through security. A volunteer with a gold badge guided them to a waiting room with soft chairs and a carafe of water. The walls had posters about witness rights and support services. The volunteer spoke in a careful, kind way. If you need a break at any point, tell the prosecutor. Breaks are allowed. The prosecutor greeted Nia with a firm but friendly nod. Thank you for being here. We'll go over a few last details, she said. Her name was Miss Ortiz, and she had a way of turning complicated steps into simple instructions. She reviewed Nia's statement, the time stamps on the videos, and the order of questions. I'll start with the basics, she said. What you saw, what you did, and how we obtained the clips. The defense may ask tough questions. It's okay to take a breath. It's okay to ask to see a document before you answer. Before they entered the courtroom, the liaison, Officer Chen, stopped by with a brief update. We matched the sleeve patch to a specific order from a local print shop, he said. The shop kept records. That helps us connect the jackets to specific purchasers. He did not mention names or details he could not share. He did not make promises he could not keep. We'll keep this as steady as possible, he added. Nia nodded and thanked him. Inside the courtroom, the air felt cooler, and the wooden benches made a soft sound when people shifted. Nia sat with Miss Ortiz and Carla behind her. The judge entered, and everyone stood. The rhythm of the room was slow and careful, which soothed Nia. She focused on small things she could control, keeping her feet flat on the floor, holding the pen loosely, sipping water if her mouth felt dry. When the clerk called her name, Nia walked to the witness stand, placed her hand gently as instructed, and promised to tell the truth. Her voice wobbled for a second and then found its level. Miss Ortiz began with simple questions. Please state your name and where you live. What is your job? Where were you on the night in question? Nia answered in clean, steady lines. She described the streetlight, the jackets with matching symbols, her call for help, the ER check, and the report she filed. She explained how Carla's doorbell camera captured a clear symbol, and how Mr. Patel's hardware store camera caught a partial license plate and the sleeve patch. She did not guess. She did not fill in blanks. She used the word approximately when she needed to. The judge listened without interrupting, and the court reporter's keys clicked lightly, making the record. Then came the defense questions. The defense lawyer was polite but firm. He asked if Nia could be mistaken about what she saw in the rain. He asked if her view was blocked by recycling bins. He asked if the symbol on the flyer could be similar to another symbol from a different group. For a moment, Nia felt like a small boat in choppy water. She looked at the judge's calm face, took a slow breath, and answered one question at a time. I saw 3 jackets with matching symbols, she said. The doorbell footage shows the symbol clearly. The hardware video shows the sleeve patch and a partial plate. I am not an expert on symbols. I am stating what I saw and what the videos show. Miss Ortiz objected once when a question drifted into guessing. The judge agreed. The path stayed clear. During a short break, Nia sat in the hallway with Carla and unwrapped a lemon candy. Its bright taste sharpened her focus. "You're doing well," Carla said. "You sound like you." Nia smiled. "That's the goal," she said. "To be myself, even here." Back inside, Miss Ortiz called Mr. Patel to confirm the camera process and chain of custody. He spoke in his gentle, careful way. He explained how he saved the original file and gave it directly to the officers. He described the angle of the camera and the timestamp setting. Then the city tech testified about the streetlight repair and the timestamps logged by the city system, which matched the time Nia had reported. The puzzle pieces began to form a picture that others could see, not just Nia. The turning point came when Miss Ortiz introduced a short clip from a public street camera 1 block away. It had been hard to obtain quickly, but the liaison had pushed it forward. The clip showed 3 figures walking past a storefront with a glass door. The reflection in the door revealed a second angle like an accidental mirror. In the reflection, the front of one jacket was visible for a moment, including a small name tag from a workplace. The image was not perfect, but it was clear enough to read 3 letters. Cross-checked with the partial plate and the print shop records, it helped narrow the field to a specific set of people. Nia felt a soft release in her shoulders. The story did not depend only on her memory. It rested on a careful web of facts. The defense asked to exclude the clip, but the judge allowed it after confirming the source and the timing. "We will give it the weight it deserves," the judge said, which sounded to Nia like, "We will be fair." The courtroom settled. By the end of the day, the judge ruled there was enough evidence to proceed with charges, including a hate crime enhancement based on the symbols, the coordinated jackets, and the pattern of flyers. The judge also issued a no-contact order that covered Nia, Carla, Mr. Patel, and other named witnesses. "If any person attempts contact, report it immediately," the judge said. His voice was calm, not dramatic. Nia liked that. Calm instructions are easier to follow. Outside the courtroom, the hallway air felt warmer. Miss Ortiz thanked Nia for her clarity. "You were steady, and that helped the court," she said. Officer Chen added, "We'll keep you updated and set you up with a victim's advocate for practical support, transport, scheduling, and any safety questions." Carla squeezed Nia's hand and said, "Tea at my place." Nia nodded, suddenly tired in the good way that follows hard work finished with care. They walked to Carla's kitchen and sat at the same table where they had watched the doorbell clip days earlier. The lemon smell was back, and a small radio played soft music. Nia sipped tea and let the day settle. "I almost lost my center during the cross questions," she admitted. Carla nodded. "You found it again," she said. "That's what matters." They made a small toast with their teacups to steady steps and laughed softly at how formal they sounded in a tiny kitchen. On her way home, Nia saw the Walnut Street light shining bright and even. A child had drawn a new chalk picture on the sidewalk, a row of houses with smiling windows and a big sun. The drawing looked simple and brave. She took a photo to keep in her phone and sent it to Mina with the caption, "Court step done. Light still on." Mina replied with confetti emojis and, "I saved you a cinnamon roll." That evening, Nia wrote her 3 good things. "I told the truth." The judge allowed the key clip. "We have a no-contact order." Then she added the hardest moment, "I felt small under questions and chose to breathe and continue." She did not try to make the day perfect in her notebook. She made it honest. Honesty felt like a bridge she could walk again tomorrow. News of the hearing reached the neighborhood in careful ways. The reporter posted a short, measured update that focused on process, not drama. The safety walk that night had a few more faces. Mr. Green brought a thermos of tea and kept time with a small bell when it was time to switch pairs. Louise carried a clipboard and wrote down 2 more spots where shrubs blocked light. They sent the notes to the city as usual. The rhythm held. One more test arrived quietly. The bakery manager pulled Nia aside and said, "A person called asking about your schedule. I told them we don't share that. I also told staff to route any questions about you to me." Nia felt a brief chill. Then she felt gratitude. "Thank you," she said. The manager nodded. "We protect our people," she answered in a tone that made Nia see her in a new light. The team posted a small sign near the back door, "Do not share employee schedules by phone." Simple, but strong. Before bed, Nia stood at her window and looked down at Walnut Street. She thought about the lowest moment of the day, the second when she felt her voice fade, and about the choice she made to speak again, slowly, clearly, and only in facts. She thought about all the hands that had helped, Carla's steady presence, Mr. Patel's careful files, Miss Ortiz's clear questions, Officer Chen's plain updates, Mina's quiet humor, the judge's fair rulings, the school counselor's guides, Luis's routes, the city crew's new bulbs. A single person had started this, but a circle had held it. She turned off the light, lay down, and pictured the ovens at dawn once more. Tomorrow would bring more steps, paperwork, planning, the long track of a case. But tonight, the main action was finished, and the outcome had turned, the path to justice was open, the rules were holding, and she was still herself, steady as bread, rising slow, sure, and ready for heat that would make something good. The months after the hearing did not move fast like a movie, they moved like a careful train that stopped at every small station. Nia learned to live with that pace. She kept baking, kept writing her 3 good things each night, and kept taking steady steps with her neighbors. The safety walk became part of the neighborhood's weekly rhythm. On Thursdays, people in bright vests strolled past the library, the school, and the bakery, noting any broken bulbs or tricky corners. The city began to send updates more quickly, almost as if the map of this small area had moved a little higher on someone's list. Each repair notice felt like a brick placed neatly in a wall that keeps out rain. At the same time, the case moved through its quiet steps. Miss Ortiz called with periodic updates in plain words. The city tech team matched the sleeve patch to a small print order. The print shop records, the partial plate, and the public camera reflection created a clear path for the investigators. Nia did not know everything, and that was okay. She knew enough to trust the process. When she felt worry rise, she drank water, pictured the ovens at dawn, and reminded herself that telling the truth, once and steadily, had been her best work. She did not carry the whole case on her shoulders. Many hands held it now. At the bakery, the manager's behavior shifted from cautious to kind. She asked staff to walk each other to the bus in pairs after late shifts. She added a small sign near the register with city resources printed in neat lines, the liaison number, the repair request link, and the community center's schedule for safety sessions. Customers noticed. A woman picking up a birthday cake said, "I like that you care about this." Mina, full of quiet pride, said, "We serve bread and good information." Nia smiled at that. Feeding people comes in many forms. The neighborhood's sense of connection grew in simple ways. The librarian hosted the Know Your City Resources evening, and the room filled with people who had never been to a town meeting before. The school counselor led a workshop for teens on moving in pairs and communicating plans with trusted adults. Luis, the volunteer, created a digital map of light poles with repair status. Miss Karim helped draft a clear guide on how to share camera clips in a way that respects privacy and supports a proper record. They called the guide Share Smart. It was 2 pages, large font, tidy, polite, and very practical. Copies lived at the library, the bakery, and the community center. A few months later, the case reached a point where the district attorney announced charges, and then, after negotiation, a plea. The court accepted it. The judge issued sentences that focused on accountability under the law and learning supervised community service, educational sessions about bias and civic responsibility, and strict no-contact orders that remained in place. There was no cheering in the courtroom. There was only a quiet feeling that the rules had held. Nia sat with Carla afterward on a bench outside and watched leaves spin in a small wind. "It is enough," Nia said softly. "It is not everything, but it is enough." Carla nodded. "And the work we started keeps going," she replied. "That might be the most important part." The safety walk program expanded to 2 nights a week as daylight shrank in winter. Mr. Green's tea became a tradition. He let teens ring the little time bell and reminded them to switch partners so they met more neighbors. The city installed brighter bulbs near the school crossing and trimmed shrubs that had made deep shadows near a bench. An artist from the community center led kids in painting cheerful, approved murals on legal walls, stars, trees, people holding lanterns, and a long ribbon of light that wound along Walnut Street and seemed to pull the eye toward kinder thoughts. The murals made the street feel like a place someone loved. In the spring, the local reporter wrote a follow-up article not about individuals, but about the simple system the neighborhood had built: early calls, shared footage, steady walks, repair logs, and clear lines to the liaison. The article included quotes from the librarian and Luis, and a list of steps any street could copy. A nearby neighborhood reached out to ask for the map template and the Share Smart Guide. Nia and Luis visited their community room one evening and, in calm voices, showed how to keep records and set a schedule without making it too heavy. The meeting ended with a shared plate of cookies and a small laugh when someone said, "We should thank the bakery that inspired this." Nia raised a hand in a tiny wave and said, "We are happy to share." At work, Nia's manager asked if she would consider a new role, part-time lead for the night shift, with a modest raise. The offer was not just about baking skill, it was about the steadiness Nia had shown when things became difficult. Nia accepted. She trained 2 new staff members, teaching them the same simple habits she loved: label clearly, check the freezer door twice, clean as you go, and keep a notebook where you write down anything you might forget. People call this professionalism, she thought, but really, it is care. Nia also made room for herself. She took one evening class at the community college on communication and leadership. She did not know if it would change her job, but it made her better at sharing ideas with groups. She practiced speaking in short, kind sentences that left space for others to respond. She learned the difference between calming a room and quieting a voice that needs to be heard. The class made her braver in a careful way. At home, the mint plant grew thick and green. Nia sometimes clipped a sprig and tucked it into a note for a neighbor: "Thank you for checking the light near the school," or "Your porch basket of flashlights helped our walk." She found joy in these tiny exchanges. They built trust the way a baker builds a batch of dough one fold at a time, with patience. On a warm morning, Nia received a letter from the Victim Support Office inviting her to speak at a small training for new advocates. It was not a big stage or a crowded hall, just a group of 10 people in a bright room. She agreed, and when the day came, she told the story in 7 minutes: the light, the call, the neighbor's door, the camera clips, the careful court, the Share Smart Guide, and the safety walks. She ended with her 4 lines: speak in facts, breathe slow, say "I don't know" when you don't, and look at the person who is listening with care. The new advocates took notes and asked good questions. One of them said, "You made a hard process feel human." Nia said, "It is human. That is why it works when we do it with care." The rumor page still existed, and some days it still flared up. But it no longer felt like the center of the neighborhood's mind. People had better rooms to speak in: the library, the school, the community center, and the calm kitchen tables where doorbell videos could be shared without noise. When unhelpful comments appeared online, more neighbors now replied with links to real resources. The energy had shifted from heat to light, and that was not an accident, it was the result of many tiny choices made by many ordinary people. One evening, as the sun slid down and the sky went soft blue, Nia walked home with a small group after the safety walk. The new bulbs along Walnut Street glowed like pearls in a gentle line. A child who had once drawn houses with smiling windows now drew a little train that moved along a chalk track, car by car. "That one is the bakery car," the child said with pride. Nia laughed and said, "It looks fast." The child shook their head. "It stops at every station," they said seriously. "So everyone can get on." Nia thought about that as she paused by Carla's porch. The first night, the light had felt like a rescue. Now it felt like a welcome. Carla waved from the doorway with a book in her hand. Mr. Green called from across the street to ask if the tea should be cinnamon or plain for Thursday. Louise sent a text with a new repair update: light at Pine fixed. Map updated. The librarian posted a photo of the Share Smart handout in the library window with a caption that read, "Neighbors looking out for neighbors." Inside her apartment, Nia set her bag down and opened her notebook. She wrote her 3 good things, a teen-led part of the safety walk tonight. The library added a second resource board. A customer told Mina the bakery feels like the heart of the street. Then she wrote a simple lesson that had taken her many days to learn: calm courage grows when it has company. She let that line sit on the page and felt how true it was. Courage had never meant acting without fear, it had meant acting with care, together, using rules and tools that help people stay safe. On the weekend, the bakery hosted a small Good Morning, Walnut event outside the shop. They set out a table with sample slices, a pitcher of cold water with lemon, and a stack of city resource cards. A local musician played soft guitar. Kids drew bright shapes with chalk while adults chatted about light poles and school drop-off plans. The manager said a few words, brief and kind: "We bake bread, and we build community." Nia stood beside her, not as a symbol but as a neighbor, and felt a quiet glow in her chest that matched the warm ovens inside. Later that night, as she washed the last tray and wiped the counter until it shone, Nia thought back to the first line of her story: a late shift, a quiet street, a porch light. The hard part had not erased the good parts. In fact, the good parts had multiplied. More lights, more names, more open doors, more people who knew how to help and did so without making a show of it. If someone asked her what they had built, she would not use big words. She would say, "We built steady steps." And then she would list them: call early, share facts, keep records, walk together, fix the lights, take care of one another, and let the law do its work. She locked the bakery with that soft click she loved and stepped into a night that no longer felt like a test. It felt like a place she belonged to: a street with steady lights, a porch with a neighbor reading, a chalk train stopping so everyone could get on, and a future moving forward, not too fast, not too slow, but at a human pace. She walked home with her shoulders relaxed and her breath easy, carrying the simple, strong lesson she would keep for the rest of her life: the safest kind of strength is shared, and the most lasting kind of change is made in small, kind steps that anyone can learn and everyone can practice.